I swear to you, I used to love fall. The smell of rain, orange leaves, hoodies, hot coffee. It used to feel safe, comforting. But ever since that one night, I can't even look at autumn leaves without feeling sick. This happened 3 years ago, back when I just moved into this small rental house near the woods, 20 minutes from town. Quiet, cheap. Almost too quiet. There was this big maple tree outside my bedroom window. Every morning, its leaves would tap gently on the glass. It was peaceful, like the world had finally slowed down. I worked from home, doing customer support. Long hours, yeah. But I liked the solitude. In the evenings, I'd take walks through the trail behind my house. The smell of pine, the crunch of leaves under my shoes. It felt normal. Until it didn't. One night, during my walk, I saw something weird near the tree line. A pile of leaves, shaped like a person. Not just random, perfectly arranged. Arms, legs, head, like someone made it on purpose. I laughed it off, probably kids messing around. But then I realized that pile wasn't there earlier that day. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of crunching leaves, right outside my window. I told myself it was an animal, until I heard a long, slow exhale, right by the glass. Next morning, I went outside and saw footprints in the damp leaves below my window. Bare feet. I felt sick. Still, I didn't call anyone. Maybe someone got lost, right? Maybe I was just being paranoid. But a few days later, I came home from grocery shopping and saw something hanging from the maple tree. A bundle of sticks tied with a red string, like one of those creepy Blair Witch symbols. I threw it away, but that night, around midnight, I heard knocking. Not on the door, on the wall, like it was waiting for me to answer. I stopped sleeping properly, kept my lights on all night, just watching shadows move. Every morning, I'd find new things outside. Little piles of leaves stacked in circles, sticks arranged in symbols, and once a dead crow on my porch. No blood, no mess, just placed. My landlord said, "Yeah, the last tenant heard things too." And that's when I knew this wasn't just me losing it. It was mid-October, the night everything went wrong. Around midnight, I heard it, the slow creak of a floorboard, then the sound of leaves crunching inside. I grabbed my phone flashlight, walked into the living room, and froze. Wet leaves were scattered across the floor, leading from the door to the middle of the room, and right there was another human-shaped outline made from leaves. Something moved behind me. I turned and saw a flash of pale skin and tangled hair slip into the hallway. I ran, barefoot, didn't even grab my keys.
When I came back the next morning with a friend, the door was locked. Inside looked normal. No leaves, no footprints, but there was one thing. A single leaf stuck to my window, shaped like a hand. I moved out that same week.
Now every fall, when the air turns cold, I smell damp leaves inside my new place. And sometimes at night, I hear that same slow exhale by my window. Maybe it's just trauma, or maybe whatever was in those woods followed me home. If you ever hear leaves crunching outside your window this fall, don't look. Just close your eyes and pray it's only the wind.
I used to love the sound of leaves crunching under my shoes, until one night I realized someone else was walking right behind me, matching every single step. This happened 3 years ago, during the fall semester of college. I just moved off campus into this tiny old duplex near the woods. It wasn't fancy, creaky floors, thin walls, but rent was cheap and the neighborhood was quiet. I was taking night classes and working part-time at a coffee shop, so I'd usually get home around 10 or 11 p.m. You know that calm, chilly fall air, where everything smells like wet leaves and smoke from someone's fireplace? That was my favorite time of year. The walk from the bus stop to my house took about 10 minutes along a tree-lined street that always looked straight out of a postcard. At least, during the day. One night in early October, I was walking home with my earbuds in. It was already dark, streetlights flickering, leaves skittering across the pavement. And I noticed something weird. Every time I took a step, I heard another step, not behind me exactly, more like beside me, but just out of view. I stopped. The sound stopped. I turned around. Nothing. Just the empty street and trees rustling. I laughed it off, told myself it was probably an echo or maybe some raccoons scuttling through the leaves, but something about that silence felt too heavy, like the night itself was holding its breath. A few nights later it happened again. Same walk, same time. But this time, when I looked back, I swear I saw someone standing at the end of the street. No movement, no face I could see, just a tall, still shadow under a broken streetlight. I remember freezing mid-step, trying to convince myself it was a trick of the light. Then the shadow shifted,
Like it turned its head toward me. I ran the rest of the way home, locked every door, pulled my curtains shut. When I peeked out through a crack in the blinds, nothing was there. A week later, I started hearing things inside my house. At first, it was small stuff, my front door creaking open when I knew I'd locked it, footsteps upstairs, even though I lived alone, and this faint humming sound coming from the hallway around 3 a.m. It wasn't like music, it was more like someone softly trying to mimic a tune, low, slow, almost like they were waiting for me to hum it back. The next morning, I found muddy footprints on the wooden floor near the front door. I told myself maybe I'd tracked them in. But the footprints were too big, and they stopped right at the middle of the living room, like whoever made them just disappeared.
One night in mid-October, I was on FaceTime with my friend Jenna. We were laughing about stupid college stuff when she suddenly went quiet. She leaned closer to her screen and said, "Who's that behind you?" My stomach dropped. I spun around so fast I nearly dropped my phone. Nothing there, just my living room. But she looked pale, and she swore she saw a tall figure standing in the hallway right behind me. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound, the creak of the house, the whisper of the wind, I couldn't tell if it was real or not. Halloween night came around. Most of my friends were out at parties, but I stayed home to study. It was raining outside, cold, steady rain, and I had this uneasy feeling in my chest. You know when your gut tells you something's off, but you can't explain why? That. Around 1 a.m., the power went out. Just click, everything went black. The only light came from my phone. And then I heard it again.
that same slow humming coming from the hallway. I whispered, "Hello?" No answer. I slowly walked toward the bathroom because that's where the sound seemed loudest. When I got there, I held up my phone like a flashlight, and in the mirror, behind my reflection, was a shadow. It wasn't standing in the mirror. It was standing behind me. I turned. Nothing. Turned back to the mirror, and now it was closer, right over my shoulder. I dropped my phone. The screen went dark, and in that pitch-black silence, I swear I felt breath on my neck.
When the lights flicked back on, I was alone. The mirror was cracked, like something had hit it. I don't even remember falling asleep that night, but when I woke up, it was morning, and everything looked normal again. I moved out 2 weeks later. Couldn't stand being there another night. A few months later, I ran into the new tenant at a grocery store. We chatted for a bit, and I jokingly asked if the house was still creepy. She laughed and said, "It's not bad, except for the humming at night." I tried to laugh it off, but I couldn't. Because that night, as I walked home through the crisp fall air, I heard it again. That same slow tune, coming from right behind me. And this time, the footsteps didn't stop when I did. Maybe it was a stalker. Maybe it was something older than the woods themselves. All I know is fall doesn't feel peaceful anymore. I used to love the sound of leaves falling in autumn, until I realized something was whispering my name from between them. This happened back in 2019, right after I moved back home for college. My parents live in this quiet little town in Pennsylvania, surrounded by woods that turn bright orange every fall. It's one of those picture-perfect places that looks peaceful until it's too quiet. I'd take evening walks almost every day to clear my head. There's this trail behind our neighborhood, starts out wide and safe, then narrows into dense trees. I'd listen to music, kick the leaves around, maybe take a few pictures for Snapchat. Nothing scary. At least, not then. One evening in late October, I went out a little later than usual. The sun had already dipped below the trees, and this fog was creeping in low to the ground. It looked kind of beautiful, actually, like something out of a dream. Halfway down the trail, I thought I heard someone behind me. Not footsteps exactly, more like breathing, deep and steady, right at my back. I spun around. Nothing. Just fog and trees. But when I started walking again, I swear I heard a whisper, faint but clear. "Don't go." I froze, pulled out my phone flashlight, scanned the trees. No one there. My brain immediately went, "Okay, wind through the leaves, chill." I practically power walked home after that. When I got to my driveway, my mom opened the door and said, "You were talking to someone out there?" I told her no, but she swore she heard a man's voice answering me. A couple days later, I went back on the same trail. Stupid, I know. It was bright daylight, tons of joggers and dog walkers. I figured whatever weird vibe I felt before was just me psyching myself out. But around sunset, everyone cleared out fast. Like 1 minute the place was full, and the next, totally empty. I was heading back toward the exit when I noticed something. A figure standing deep in the woods about 30 feet off the trail. Not moving, just watching. I couldn't see their face, just a long, dark coat that kind of blended with the trees. At first, I thought it was a hiker, but then I realized something was wrong.
They weren't standing on the ground. They were just hanging there, like their feet weren't touching the dirt.
I blinked, looked away for a second to grab my phone, and when I looked back, it was gone. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that dark shape floating in the fog.
About a week later, the temperature dropped hard. You could see your breath in the morning, and every house smelled like cinnamon and smoke. My mom was decorating for Halloween, and I was sitting in the living room doing homework. It was around midnight when our motion light outside flicked on. I looked out the window, nothing. Then I saw it. A tall figure standing by the tree line across the yard. Same coat, same stillness. I whispered, "Mom, come here." By the time she got to the window, it was gone again. She told me it was probably a trick of the light or some neighbor cutting through the woods, but my gut said no. It wasn't human. That night, I locked every door and kept my lamp on until morning. But around 3 a.m., I woke up to this soft tapping on my window. Not random tapping, rhythmic, like someone drumming their fingers slowly. I pulled the curtain back and saw a handprint, clear as day, pressed against the glass from the outside. No one was there.
The next day, my dad helped me set up one of those small security cameras on the porch, just to make me feel better, he said. For a few nights, nothing happened. Then, one morning, I checked the footage, and around 2:47 a.m., the motion light turned on by itself. At first, you couldn't see much, just mist rolling through the yard. But then, right near the edge of the camera frame, something shifted. A tall, dark figure, standing halfway behind a tree. It didn't move toward the house, it just stood there. And I swear, its head tilted, like it knew it was being watched.
Then the screen went static. Full white noise. And when it cleared, the figure was gone. But here's the part that still makes my stomach turn. On the next clip, a few minutes later, the camera caught the inside of our front door, as if something had opened it and filmed from inside the house. Cold. Halloween night came, and I didn't even plan to go out, but my friends convinced me to hit a bonfire party near the woods. I thought being around people would calm me down. It didn't. I left early, around 11 p.m., and decided to walk home. The air was freezing, and dead leaves crunched under my shoes with every step. Everything was quiet, until it wasn't. That whisper came again, faint, dragging through the wind. "Don't go." I stopped cold. I could feel someone behind me. Every hair on my neck stood up. I turned around and saw that same dark figure standing in the middle of the trail. Only this time it was closer, close enough to see its face, except it didn't have one. Just smooth, pale skin, no eyes, no mouth, and yet I still heard it whisper, "You shouldn't have come back." I screamed and ran. Branches tore at my jacket. I didn't stop until I saw the porch light from my house flicker through the trees. When I got inside, I locked the door and fell to the floor shaking. My parents rushed out of their room, asking what happened. I told them everything. But when my dad ran out with a flashlight, no footprints, no sound, nothing. Just the sound of wind brushing through the leaves and something faintly humming in the dark. After that night, weird things kept happening. My phone alarm would go off randomly at 2:47 a.m., the exact time the camera glitched. Sometimes I'd wake up and find the front door unlocked, even though I'd double-checked it. One morning, I came downstairs and saw something carved into our wooden porch railing. Just one word: stay. My parents thought it was kids pulling a prank, but I knew that handwriting, because it looked exactly like mine. We moved out that winter. Too many strange things, too many sleepless nights. But sometimes, even now, when the air gets cold and the leaves start to fall, I swear I hear it again. That whisper, coming from the trees. And sometimes, when I look out my apartment window late at night, I see a tall, dark shape standing under the streetlight. It doesn't move. It just waits. Maybe it followed me from that trail. Or maybe I never really left. What if the woods remember who walks through them, and some things just don't let go?